storming away from Seoul, though not before making a pointed remark about how Jae-yeon likes his relationships casual. Nabi makes up her mind. She is finally over Jae-yeon and the mess that comes with him. Jae-yeon, on the other hand, really struggles to accept this, and over the next few days, he couldn't get Nabi out of his head, calling her constantly. Desperate to get away from Seoul, Nabi retreats to her aunt's place in the countryside, distracting herself from the chaos. As it happens, Do-hyuk was also gone home to his hometown, and Nabi ends up running into him while she was out on a walk. Suggesting that they go to the beach together, Do-hyuk makes her kebabs by the ocean, and basically, being the exact opposite of Jae-yeon, Do-hyuk reveals that he's never dated before. He also shares, much to Nabi's surprise, that she's actually his first love. Although he liked her all those years ago, Do-hyuk had overheard her telling a friend that she had a boyfriend, and as such, he kept those feelings hidden. Eventually, Nabi dozes off and Do-hyuk sleeps outside. As for Jae-yeon, he was struggling back in Seoul. With Nabi's studio empty, he was still not answering any of his calls or texts, and a while later, Jae-yeon finds out why. Talking with Seol-ah, she admits to Jae-yeon that she lied to Nabi about their relationship. Finding out why, Jae-yeon messages Nabi and they talk, but Nabi was having a great time back home, cycling and going to the market with Do-hyuk. Unfortunately, this mood comes to a crashing halt when out of nowhere, Jae-yeon shows up at her aunt's house. It turns out that Jae-yeon saw her cycling with Do-hyuk and followed them home. A tense atmosphere lingers throughout the day, only made slightly better by the arrival of their friends who momentarily diffuse the tension. The awkwardness between Jae-yeon and Do-hyuk gets worse and worse as they end up in a car together with Nabi heading to an amusement park. At the park, Jae-yeon's jealousy was palpable, but eventually on the Ferris wheel, he gets paired up with Nabi. Complimenting Nabi and trying to touch her hair, Jae-yeon brings out all of his flirting techniques, but it leaves Nabi cold. Sensing the mood in the room once they get back, Bitna directly questions Jae-yeon about his feelings, making hints about his past relationships, and likening them to Do-hyuk, who compared to Jae-yeon is the perfect stable boyfriend. Later during a drinking game, when asked who makes her smile the most, Nabi instantly names Do-hyuk, sparking visible discomfort in Jae-yeon. As the group settles down, Jae-yeon and Nabi find themselves alone. Seizing the moment, Jae-yeon confesses how much he misses her and gently kisses her. Despite Do-hyuk's calls, Nabi chooses to keep kissing Jae-yeon, and running into Do-hyuk after the kiss, Nabi was conflicted and phrased, and ultimately accepts Do-hyuk's offer to take her home. Despite his attempt to woo her with a bouquet of flowers, Nabi tearfully admits to Do-hyuk that while he's a good person, it's not really the right time for her. Lying about her feelings for Jae-yeon, Nabi explains that she doesn't want to see him either, and the next morning, calling their kiss the night before a drunken mistake, Nabi confronts Jae-yeon and ends up leaving back for Seoul that same morning, though not before Do-hyuk promises that he won't give up on her, though he really should for his own sake. Back at school, Nabi grapples with her feelings, especially when she notices that Jae-yeon is potentially being scouted by foreigners. With rumors swirling, Jae-yeon admits to Nabi that he is considering to move to America, and sticking to their arrangement, Nabi and Jae-yeon go to visit an art gallery together, but Nabi remains distant, especially after the shock that Jae-yeon might be leaving. Meanwhile, Do-hyuk surprises Nabi the next day with a packed lunch, and they share a lighthearted meal, much to Jae-yeon's jealousy. Despite Do-hyuk's optimism about their future, Nabi's heart still seems to be very much torn between a stable and happy choice and a dangerous and unstable but exciting choice. Later, Nabi and Jae-yeon were talking in the bar where they first met, and Nabi explains to Jae-yeon how while she likes Do-hyuk, she's afraid that he might see a part of her that will put him off. That's not a problem with Jae-yeon though, since their relationship had been so messy from the start. As Jae-yeon heads back to Nabi's place to give her a hand with some chores, Do-hyuk watches from afar, misinterpreting the situation. Back in Nabi's apartment, she and Jae-yeon get into talking about their past. However, when Jae-yeon leans in to kiss her, Nabi makes the rare but smart decision to pull away. Sending Jae-yeon home, Do-hyuk texts Nabi to chat, but she sends him away as well. The next morning, despite trying to put on a brave face, Do-hyuk was clearly affected by what he saw the previous night, even if it was mostly misunderstanding. With Do-hyuk debating whether he should in the end throw in the towel, Jae-yeon decides to double down on Nabi, even making her a butterfly emblem. As for her project, well, Nabi gets some harsh criticism from her professor, who was disappointed with her sculpture. Adding to her stress, Nabi also finds out that she wasn't accepted for the exchange student program that she applied for either. With Jae-yeon seemingly successfully being scouted, Nabi feels like her life was deteriorating. Unaware that Jae-yeon was listening, Nabi confides in Do-hyuk about her school struggles, and deciding to keep the fact that he overheard her conversation a secret, Jae-yeon goes to see So-ah, who was on her way to the States. Determined to end her reciprocated crush on Jae-yeon, So-ah was headed to America. After a conversation with Sol, Nabi realizes that if she ever wants to finish her project successfully, she has to figure out this situation with Jae-yeon. That evening, after meeting with Do-hyuk, who admits that he saw her with Jae-yeon and asks her whether Jae-yeon even cares about her at all, she finds Jae-yeon outside of her apartment. Grabbing her arm, Jae-yeon admits that he knew that she was torn between him and Do-hyuk and had been trying to manipulate her into choosing him. Nabi responds by spitting out that she regrets ever getting with Jae-yeon, given how much he had hurt her. Going inside and slamming the door, Nabi tells Jae-yeon that she doesn't want to see him again. The next morning, despite her harsh words the night before, Nabi finds herself haunted by Jae-yeon's kind eyes, despite his countless red flags. As cool, Nabi decides that she has to work on her project alone, but that becomes more difficult when Jae-yeon shows up, holding her hand and causing her to pull away angrily. Both Nabi and Jae-yeon were grieving at the end of their relationship, which never even really existed in the first place. A turning point happens when Nabi, walking into the studio one day, finds her statue project shattered into a million pieces on the floor. Her key piece for the upcoming exhibition was completely smashed, and Nabi feels devastated, and as the rain pours down, Nabi, ready to accept any help she can get to fix her project, takes Jae-yeon up on his offer to help her rebuild it, especially as he promises to leave her alone once they finish. Working tirelessly to piece the statue back together, as they spend day and night on the project, Nabi begins to reevaluate her feelings toward Jae-yeon, and if he were truly such a heartless player, why would he be helping her like this? Eventually, they fix the statue and turn it into a rustic angel with ragged wings, and Jae-yeon, true to his word, having helped her finish the project, steps away after giving her a final compliment. Despite wishing that he would just leave her alone only a few days ago, Nabi was far from happy. As for Jae-yeon, he packs up all of his tools, lets go of the butterflies that he was raising, and seemingly disappears into the night, leaving behind only a green book that he gives to Nabi. Inside the book are countless sketches that Jae-yeon did of her, and the first one was when he spotted her across the room at an art exhibition. Yes, Jae-yeon hadn't met Nabi in the bar the very first time he had seen her, was actually at the initial art exhibition, and he'd wanted to meet her again ever since. When whispers start circling that Jae-yeon had already landed in the US, Nabi couldn't believe that he didn't even say goodbye. Well, that's probably because Jae-yeon hadn't left anywhere, and instead, he'd just been staying at home, lying alone and depressed in the dark. On the day of Nabi's final exhibition, everyone shows up at the gallery, including her professor, who even offers Nabi an opportunity to go to Paris. Despite the success, Nabi couldn't stop scanning the room for Jae-yeon, and where was he? After dinner, Nabi heads back to the exhibition and finally meets Jae-yeon again, and despite acknowledging the potential pain, Nabi nevertheless chooses to be with Jae-yeon once and for all. And in the end, Nabi and Jae-yeon's story ends with them walking hand in hand down the street.
And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.